Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diane Vicari. I am going to welcome you to the IPDAY webinar today on the GED program update, new tools and resources for student success. I appreciate all of you being here. I know many of you may already know who I am. I was a former GED administrator at the Florida Department of Education up until 2023, and I am now a state relationship manager at GED Testing Service. Please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll periodically check to see if there are any questions out there. Here are some things to remember. You can type your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. Either one is fine. You're already muted. You're in listen-only mode. And this is being recorded, and it will be archived and available on the IPDAY website. Just want to remind everyone that GED Testing Service does have registered trademarks, and they are registered with the American Council on Education, and that they cannot be used or reproduced without express written permission. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. You'll have my email by the time we finish with this presentation. We have a lot to get through today in the hour. Hopefully you'll learn at least one new thing about the GED testing program, which is more than just a test. We offer a lot of information and a lot of useful resources for teachers and students out on our website. So I'll be going through some of those things. Start with an overview of the test. This is mostly for those of you that might be new or just need a refresher. The GED test is available in both English and in Spanish. There are a wide variety of accommodations available. We don't have a comprehensive list out on our website because, as most of you know, as teachers, those kind of things are specific to a student. So whatever your students might need for an accommodation, you should encourage them to request that, even if it's not listed in this list here. And I did include a link to the accommodations information page, and we'll look a little bit more at that later on in the presentation. We do have an official practice test. It's not a requirement in the state of Florida to take the GED Ready, but it is a useful tool for educators to see where their students are and if they're ready for the test. Here's just a time breakdown, giving you some information about the 4 subjects that are covered. Each one is a separate test and has a different amount of time. The Reasoning through Language Arts, the RLA, does include an extended response, which is 45 minutes, and it does include a 10-minute break. We'll talk a little bit more about each one of these test subjects as we go through this, but it just gives you an idea of how long each one is, and you can see that some are longer than others. Also want to mention at this point that sometimes we think that, or a student thinks that they can just sign up and take the whole GED test in one sitting. But with these times, you can see they're not going to really want to do that. Best thing to do would be to schedule one at a time. We do have some that will schedule social studies and science on the same day, but we really suggest that they be done in separate appointments. There are a variety of items, multiple choice, extended response, as I mentioned already, drag and drop. There's all different kinds of item types on the different tests. Here's just a brief overview of the RLA test. I included a link, and you'll see these links on the bottom of the slides. to more information. In an hour, I can't get to everything and I can't go through every document that we have out there. But for the RLA test and for all of the subject tests, we have an assessment guide available. So that's what's linked at the bottom of the screen here. And it goes into great detail about what's covered on the RLA test. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, it does integrate reading and writing together. Source texts are mainly nonfiction. The passage lengths are 400 to 900 words that the individuals have to read. And there's a range of text complexity. Remember that we're trying to differentiate not only between an individual who can earn the high school equivalency exam, but also go above and beyond and earn college and career ready levels. There are technology enhanced items and the extended response on the RLA, which I said earlier. Excuse me. A little bit more about the extended response on the RLA test. It includes generally one or more source texts that they have to read, and it's usually a situation where there's two different positions. The prompt is always very similar. So you want to make sure that you practice with your students on an RLA extended response. We have many of those available. I included a link at the bottom to the scoring tools and rubrics. That's a question I'm asked quite often is, I don't see where the rubrics are for the extended response. So I'm providing them here for you. I really suggest that you that you look at them and you look at those scoring tools. They're very important. Just because a student seems to write clearly and kind of gives just an overview or summarizes the text that they're reading isn't what the prompt is asking them for. So we really want to make sure that they can build an argument and choose which one of the two represented texts or the positions are best represented with an argument. A few things to remember about the extended response. And we don't really want them to count words, right? But they need to write a complete response, not just one paragraph or one sentence, and make sure that they actually address the prompt. They want them to explain the why. In other words, if they're going to produce evidence from some of the text, why is that important? Why does it make it better than the other argument that's presented? And it's probably best to develop two or three ideas rather than more than that with very little detail. Always make sure that your students are proofreading because you want to make sure that they are fixing little things that they may have missed when they were first writing it. Again, make sure you take a look at the extended response scoring tools and rubrics when you download the presentation off the IPDAY site. All right, let me take a quick look here, see if we have any questions. It's like everybody's just saying hello here, and let's see what we've got for Q&A. Okay, I don't see anything yet, so I'll wait a little while longer. All right, for the math test, again, giving you a short breakdown of the content on quantitative problem solving and algebraic problem solving. I listed the only acceptable calculator. This is, they are allowed to bring in a calculator, or if the testing center wants to, they can provide this particular calculator, or they can use the on-screen calculator. So they want to make sure that they're familiar with using the calculator before they take the test. And I'm going to show you some of where to find those things on our website. There is a formula page and symbols page, and and also a calculator page provided to them on the day of testing. Those are also available for download on our website. Social studies. Here's a breakdown of the content. I'm not going to read through every one of them with you, but you can see that it is 50% civics and government. There are some general themes that are going through those test items. And of course, it's looking at analyzing, thinking, and reasoning. And again, there are those technology enhanced question items that I listed previously on a slide. Science tests, life science, physical science are the most contents covered on the test. And then there are some earth and space science on there as well. We've got a couple of different themes that run through the test items. And again, it's reasoning and thinking scientifically. So when we talk about reasoning, we're talking about being able to analyze things. So it's important that they are ready for those types of questions. Again, these were just brief overview of each subject. You want to look at the assessment guides for all the details. Right, there are 3 score levels. The passing score, which earns the individual the state of Florida high school diploma. And then there are the 165 to 174, the 175 to 200. So we've got college ready and college ready plus credit. These scores are actually explained in further detail out on the website that I provided on this screen. But basically, it allows students to bypass things when they get to college if the college actually allows for that. We don't have a list of those colleges. Our suggestion is when a student passes at one of these 2 levels and they're getting ready to apply for college, they should ask that college if they accept GED College Ready or College Ready Plus credit. The college will know about it if they do, and then the student could take advantage of that. But of course, for most of us, we're trying to get them to earn their diploma. So that 145 is the important score. All right, want to quickly run through some Florida statistics. I did see some of you were from out of state, so this would not apply to you. But I think you'll find that there are similar statistics nationally as well. I pulled this fact sheet from COABE, and I think it's important for us to realize how many people there are out there who don't have a high school diploma. In Florida, there are 62,780 working age adults 18 to 64 without a high school diploma, and they're unemployed. But we've got over 1 million people without a high school credential who could be working or not working. So it's a lot of people out there that we can serve and try to get them to earn their high school diploma. Just wanted to give some reference here. I went back to pre-COVID days on this testing data just to show you that, you know, back in 2018-19, before COVID, we were running around 99 plus thousand tests being delivered in Florida. You see it dropped off considerably during COVID and the couple of years after, and it's been steadily increasing over time, exceeding the pre-COVID numbers in 23-24. So to me, we're back on track after COVID and trying to have these students get in there and take their tests. I've also included the test takers, completers, and passers on this slide, just so that you could get an idea of how many people are being served by GED testing in the state of Florida. Here are some performance data points. Here's the national pass rates on each of the 4 subtests. And you can see the Florida pass rates are very similar, as most states are. And then the 3 items below that, the HSE, College Ready, and College Ready Plus credit, you can see that for math, the 77, the 5, and the 2 add up to the 84% Florida passing. So it gives you an idea that there's a very small percentage of students who actually earn College Ready or College Ready Plus credit scores. I find these data points very interesting. This is for Florida, and it's from 2018 through 2025. Those scoring in the below passing range have an average test score for math of 139. And you see all of the subjects are 139, 140. You bump up to the average passing score, and it's above the it's above the 145. We're looking at least 10, almost 10 points higher even for math at 153. And then the overall passing average ranges from 147 to 153. I find this interesting because we're not looking at the below passing range being in the 120 range or something like that. They're getting fairly close. And we're looking at a passing rate average that is slightly higher than the actual passing score of 145, which means that you're preparing them well. Maybe sometimes we're not getting them in there quick enough because we're looking to make sure that they pass, right? And of course, that's what we want. But I think if they score in the GED ready green range, we need to try to get them into tests, even if they're testing in the lower part of that green range, because otherwise they lose momentum and it slows them down. We don't want to lose them. We all know that our students come and go based on what's happening in their lives. So the sooner we can get in there to test and pass, the better off everybody will be. Okay, one final data point in Florida, and these numbers are specific to Florida, but there are a lot of candidates out there who have passed 3 of 4 GED tests. In Florida, there are 19,000. Okay, so think about that. That's a lot of people. That's more than the number of passers in each of the last 5 years. If you want to get involved at your local center, you can, you're in Florida, reach out to Mallory Martinez. She's the Florida GED administrator, and she can run you some reports of your 3 of 4 passers that can help you to help your students to come in and get that last test done so that they can earn their diploma. Now, if you're outside of Florida, you can reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with the state relationship manager that would handle your state, and they can help you to get the data you need. But I really feel like we need to spend some time trying to get these students who have only one more test to pass into the testing center. All right, again, this is Florida specific. So if you're from another state, your state would also have this information out there. At GED.com, if you use about the test, you'll see a listing there that will give you state information. I've included the link directly to Florida here, but you can see you can get testing policies, the price and payment, retake policies, information about how to get transcripts and diplomas, and then there's some other information available. We have a page like this for every state. So if you're from another state, you can look up your state and find that information at GED.com. In Florida, Florida has their own webpage, fldoe.org, and I link directly to the high school equivalency diploma program, which is the GED testing site, so that you can get more information about what's going on in Florida. Now, if you're from Georgia or from another state, you can, go out to the entity that handles your high school equivalency testing and they probably have a website similar to this. I want to point out some upcoming events that we have. The first one that's coming up is actually held in May. It's the GED Virtual Grad Day. And we have a newsletter called In Session. I've linked it here. We don't know the date right now. That date is usually set sometime in the next month or so. So the announcement will come out via In Session. But I also included a link on here to check out what went on during GED Grad Day 2025. This basically happens in a Facebook group, and it is very well attended by candidates, and they really enjoy it. There are many students out there, many diploma earners who actually have not gone through an adult ed center and don't get to celebrate their graduation in any other way than our virtual celebration. So I also encourage adult ed centers to take advantage of letting their students go online, be a part of this group, and see how many other people are out there doing the same thing that they were doing. So it's a great event. Feel free to check out the links and sign up for In Session so you can find out exactly what day it will be held in May. The GED annual conference this year is going to be fairly close in Atlanta at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis, July 29th to 31st. The registration, I believe, is already open. I had to submit these slides early and we didn't have that out there, so I don't have the link on the screen for you, but feel free to email me if you cannot find it. I also included at the bottom of this slide a link to the 2025 conference materials. So if you've never been to one of these conferences and you want to see, well, what kind of sessions are available, you'll be able to see that. All the presentations are posted out on that website for 2025. So it'll give you an idea of the types of things that we cover. We do have, teacher PD, professional development available to you. We have things for test administrators, for state administrators, state directors. There are Department of Corrections. So there's all kinds of things available. So we hope you will join us at that conference, especially since it's so close this year. After that, in September, on September 16th, we celebrate National GED Day. I think this year up in either Michigan or Wisconsin, one of the local entities up there was able to get them to light up a bridge in honor of GED Day. They did all kinds of things around the country, and we've got some suggestions out on our website. So we'd love for you to start planning for that now. We all know that if you wait too long and you need to get things approved, you might have to actually start in the spring to get these events going for September. But we'd love to have and find out about anything that you do to celebrate National GED Day on September 16th. All right, let's see if we've got any questions. Let me go back a little bit here. You see one here. If a student gets 175 to 200, this is from Monique, can they receive up to 10 college credit hours per test subject or 10 college credit hours total? I believe it's total, but you would have to look at that link that I provided there. It is limited. It is not a lot of credit, and not all colleges actually accept that. Let's see here. Another question, will there be any more ways to take GED tests besides going to the test sites. In some states, it is available online testing, but in Florida, it is test sites only. That was a Florida decision. We're going to talk about the app for Androids. So David, I'll be getting to your question in the next section. And let's see if there's anything in the Q&A. Okay, nothing there. Now, if I missed your question, you might want to put it in there again because I'm just going to the bottom each time. There's quite a few things in the chat at this point. Okay, there was a question about the mobile app, and that's where we're headed right now, is the mobile app. For those of you that don't know about the mobile app, it is an app that was, up until the end of December, only available on Apple, but it is now in the Android store. So those of you that wanted it in Android, you can now download the app for Android. So even though it says coming soon on here, it's out there. It came out the end of December. The app really was designed for the independent learner. However, we're finding that students in classes are also using this app. We're going to go through a few things so that you can see some of the screenshots of what the app looks like. I really encourage all of you to download the app. And if you have not created a GED account for yourselves, that you can go ahead and create that. Use a personal email and use the last name candidate to show that you're not actually a student. Then I've got that on another screen here, so you don't have to remember that right now. There are lots of practice questions. There's a personalized study guidance. There's tracking and goal setting. We all know that just about everybody carries around a mobile device. And we could be sitting somewhere waiting for an appointment. We could be riding a bus. We could be just sitting in a car as a rider. You know, anywhere where we might be just sitting waiting, they could be actually on the GED app reviewing some things. So it makes it very flexible for them to use. Right now, we find that 87% of the users are actually independent learners. They are not associated with a prep center. 56% of them are caretakers, either of children or of older adults. And 46% of them are full-time workers, which makes sense. They want something that's portable and that they can take with them. Both the GED.com site and the app use the same login credentials. And we felt that that was very important when the app was launched, so that they didn't have to remember 2 login credentials. Everything follows them from the app to GED.com. What happened the end of last year, before the Android app was available, is we have a SID AI, which is applicable to math. I think the other thing that we find with the mobile app is that, and with using AI in general, is that a student doesn't have to feel like their question is a dumb question. They can just ask it. There's no judgment in AI. Now, the AI that we use for SID is specifically only drawing from the material that we provided it. So it's not going out to the whole internet to get an answer. It's only using our information to provide them with answers or help in any way. Okay, so here's some information about that. It does, align to only what the GED test. It doesn't go out to the internet. I want to make that very clear. It is available 24/7, and it does allow them some scaffolded learning opportunities. I think what's important here to realize is that we chose to do this for math because we talked about how many people had one more test to pass. The majority of those are math. And I think most of us that have been doing this for a while know that math tends to be the one that, the math test is the one that really is harder for people. Whether it's they don't have the confidence, whether they don't have all the skills they need, they don't know how to use the calculator the way that they should, all of those things. Maybe it's only one thing that they need to work on. But the AI tutor in the app, we really feel is helping our students. They have started collecting data on this. This was presented at last year's conference. How do activity levels of mobile users compared to non-mobile users? Okay, and down on the bottom, you see how many took a ready test, took the test, and the ready test, and then credentialed. And you see that mobile users are higher in all of those. I can't say for a fact that it's definitely correlated because we know how many different variables there are in these students' lives. But there's something going on, whether it's that these mobile users are more dedicated to studying, who knows? But I would suggest to all of you to let your students know about the mobile app and to go ahead and let them start using it. It doesn't have to necessarily be part of your curriculum, but it's just an add-on for them so that they can continue their learning moving forward. And if they're feeling apprehensive about asking questions about math or they're not sure on what they're doing for math, the AI tool really does help. Here are just some screenshots of the AI or of the GED and Me app. Again, I reminded you that the GED.com account and the app are linked. Here's just some screenshots showing you the guided journey that it takes a student on so that they can actually set a goal, come up with a plan to reach that goal, and then get started right away. They don't have to sit there and think, well, what do I do first? The app can lead them through that process. Here's just one example of the My Path in Science, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Again, I think the best thing for you to find out what the app is all about is for you to go out there, create an account. If you have an account created at GED.com, you can use those same credentials to log in. If you don't have an account at GED.com, you can create an account in the app or at GED.com. Those accounts are going to be linked together. You notice there's a question of the day. So even if students are just looking at the question of the day, they're getting more learning each time. And it does go through and explain if they get the answer incorrect, what the correct answer is and why. Does include a lot of practice. Right now, because this was initially designed for the independent learner, the Kaplan book is what has been linked to. They felt that when they were designing the app that the Kaplan book would be the most accessible to independent learners because in many cases it's available at a library, they can order it on Amazon, it's something that they can get. Now, this shows you how to choose that recommended textbook, but keep in mind that as the app grows, we're looking at adding other publisher references moving forward beyond the Kaplan. But they don't have to have the Kaplan book to use the app. There's lots of practice opportunities without it as well. So they don't have to use that book. It just gives them an opportunity to use that if they're an independent learner. We also created a tips for educators guide so that you could have an idea of how you might want to use that app in the classroom. I always ask at this point, we would love to update this flyer. This is what we put out there when the app first launched. We know that many of you have been using the app. So if you've got some great ways for using the app in your classroom, please feel free to reach out and share those with me. We'd love to have them showcased in this particular document. We do have a roadmap for improving the app. Right now, of course, we've had the launch of the AI for math. It says next for Android, but that's already up and running. And then later, they do plan on adding the other subjects to the AI tool. And we're going to continue to add more content, more practice, more references to different publishers. So it's got a long way to go, but I think it's a great start for the app, and I think it's very helpful for students and for teachers. This is what I mentioned earlier on how to create an account for yourself, so you can refer to this slide later. Already mentioned, Android is already out. All right, before I move forward, let me take a peek here. Let's see here. All right, it says, is it in Spanish? I believe the AI tool allows you to choose Spanish. I don't believe the whole app is available in Spanish yet, but I believe that parts of it are. Let's see what else. Yeah, I see you're asking about, how do you manage having a phone in class? You can just not have them use it in class, have them use it outside of class. Let's see what else. Sure, I'm missing some. Someone asked if Essential Ed would be linked to the app. It's not at this time, but I know they're looking at other providers. Can you use the app on a computer, like screen sharing? I don't see why you couldn't. If you can screen share anything from your phone, you should be able to use it that way, using screen sharing. Someone said something about French or Haitian Creole. Again, I believe that the SID AI tutor can do those things, but the app itself, I don't think does that. All right, looks like I've got all of those. Let me go in the Q&A. Believe SID is designed for mobile. I don't believe it's a desktop version. For Kay, who asked that in the Q&A. All right. Let's move on to student accounts. Student accounts, we're going to look at 3 areas here, linking to adult ed, score reports, and the GED Ready Green videos. And I've got kind of an update on that. As I said, I prepared these slides several months ago, so I've got some updates here. Again, I remind you on this slide to create yourself an account at GED.com or in the app. So please feel free to do that. I think to get the complete student experience, that's the best way for you to do that. During that account setup process, it does point them to adult education and ask them if they're already enrolled or they're interested in attending GED classes. Once that question is answered with yes, they choose a program. So they can get connected to your program if your program is part of that GED Prep Connect. Also available in the student portal are their score reports. They can access those from the top and several other places in their home screen, all over the place. They'll find their score reports. Basically, those score reports are individual study guides. They can choose their Program of study, we mentioned Kaplan, we mentioned Essential Ed. There's all different ones listed out there. I'm sure that many of you already know about this, but they can actually select their program, and then they will be given a list of where they should study in those resources. I mentioned there's been an update to this and it's coming soon. We have found that using red, yellow, and green can be a little bit off-putting to students to see a score in the red zone. So I think they're moving away from colors. So you'll see that this will be rolling out fairly soon. So the score reports will look a little different. We won't have this color range. It's going to be a little bit different and explain where they fall on that scale and where they should go from there. I did include a link to a professional developed webinar that we have posted on our website on how to use those score reports to help you in your teaching. It's called Mining GED Ready Score Reports. We do have GED Ready green videos. I don't know what's going to happen to those if they do away with the red, yellow, and green. So more to come on that. But right now, many of them will see this, and it encourages them to go out and take the test. This is a section that I like to cover with people so that they know what's available to their students. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but I include links for you so that you can get to these later on when you download the presentation from the IPDAY website. I already mentioned to you that your students should request the accommodations that they need and work through that process. There is a PDF available out there if you need step-by-step instructions for how a student applies for accommodations. That might be helpful to those people that might need something in writing with instructions. So I've included that here for you. There's also some other information available on our accommodations webpage. One thing is the personal items and minor modifications list. That includes things like glasses and inhaler medications. You have to look at the list for complete details. Make sure that you read that list and what's actually available. You don't want them to get to the test center and then expect to be able to bring something in and then it's not allowed. So make sure that you take a look at that list. There are also universal access features that can be accessed, an on-screen color combination, changing the text size, and also the highlighter tool. You find those by using the computer-based test tutorial. And hopefully you've used this before with your students. We really hope that you will have them go through the computer-based test tutorial so they're prepared for how to use this application when they're taking their test. There are, at the bottom of the screen when you're running through this, there are screen color and font changes at the bottom of the screen, and I've circled them in red here. Again, I would go through it yourself, see what it looks like, and then you can show your students. Up at the top left, there's a highlighter tool that you can use to highlight. And then, of course, there's the flag for review. And I think some students need to be encouraged to use that. If they get to a question, they don't know the answer right away, they should probably flag it, go back and answer it later rather than waste time trying to figure out the harder questions or what they feel are the harder questions. We do have a lot of free classroom materials available. Hopefully you've been using some of these. They're accessed at the educator website from GED.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you'd pick that, and then there are all these resources for you. we're going to take a look at the free classroom materials. This is where you're going to find a link to that computer-based test tutorial and also the calculator tutorial. These are available both in English and in Spanish. Please use these with your students. There are reference sheets available and also extended response tools and practice available. Again, very important. They are available in English and Spanish. Please use them. There's a free practice test that is not the GED ready. It's a quarter length test, but it is something to use in your classrooms. And there are also study guides available. I should also mention that a lot of these things are also available to students in their GED.com account. These two things are definitely there. So are the computer-based tutorial and the calculator tutorial. If you haven't seen these yet, there are extended response videos that you can use in your classroom to help your students with the RLA test. And it is presented by this young woman, and they're very short, 5-6 minute videos that can help your students be prepared for the extended response. They're also available on DVD. But there's also a way to download them in corrections. So those of you asking for corrections, how do you get these things if they don't have internet access? Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to show you where we have those items. Many of the items are available for download and can be used offline. Okay, those are things that are available for use in your classroom by your students, but we have a lot of teaching resources available. One thing I think that GED Testing Service did right when they started the computer-based test in 2014 was they made score reports available. So now you know where you have an idea of what your students need to do to improve their scores. But we also give tools to teachers to help you to prepare them. So that's what this section goes through. We've got a lot of educator guides out there. If you haven't already, I would do the educator handbook, download that. I always have those available at conferences. The next conference in Florida I'll be at will be the Florida Literacy Coalition Conference in May, and I'll have some of these available for then. The playbook, the student handbook, and the learning preferences ebook are only available online right now. The learning preferences ebook refers to a short, it's not really a test, it's just a few questions that the student will answer in their GED.com account, and it will give them a learning preference. So if they know their learning preference, this particular manual helps you as a teacher to help their learning preference. The performance level descriptors, or PLDs, gives the information about the skills that the students need to pass. So if you're wondering where to start as a new teacher, this would be something to look at. This is what they look like. This one happens to be for mathematical reasoning for the high school equivalency level. We also have high impact indicators lists, which look at skills that are found in multiple subjects. So you get a little bit better bang for your buck. So they're important to look at because we know that there are skills that overlap subjects. So if you can teach those skills every time you look at any subject, you can really help your students. There are also some how-to guides for supporting students out there. There's documents on creating accounts, how to schedule tests, all of that. There are PDF documents that you can print out and hand to your students. There's also information about credentialing. I do want to say that the information for credentialing here are for those states that use GED credentialing. Now, Florida does do that, but if you're from another state, you want to look at the credentialing for your specific state. We have some essential resources for math instruction. So if you're looking to help those students who have that one test left, which is math, we do have some information available to you. We find that a lot of them skip or don't do very well on the calculator prohibited questions, those first few questions at the beginning, because they think they just can't do it because they can't use a calculator. There are some tips there for you to help them. These are available, by the way, in both Spanish and English. There's the assessment guides, which I mentioned earlier. We have one complete assessment guide, which is quite a large document, or you can download them by subject. That's where you find out all the specifics about how they will be assessed in each of the subjects. I already mentioned that many of these are available in Spanish. I've listed the ones that I know for sure are listed, are used and available in Spanish. And if you can't locate them, please feel free to reach out to me. All right, other professional development that you can get. I know you're here on this IPDAY call, but we also offer a professional development. It's called Tuesdays for Teachers. It's not every Tuesday. It's not even once a month. It depends on, our scheduling of things, but those go out via the in session, and I had that link earlier on. But even if you can't attend in person, you can see all of those webinars by going out to our website. I'm going to zoom in on one of these. One of them was you can't revise and edit until you analyze. And you notice here you can watch it. The PowerPoint is available. And all of the other materials that were presented are available for download as well. This particular webinar explains how to use the RLA Extended Response Scoring Tool, and I found that it was a very well done session. So if that's something you want to learn about, you can go out to the webinar webpage. Okay, let me take a quick peek here. Well, you know what? I'm going to wait till the end. Let's just run through these. I'm getting close on time, so we'll run through these last few sessions, the last section here. GED Manager is a tool that we provide, and there are different roles available, and I've listed those here. There are teachers in Florida who have student authorized view. Of course, the state does have jurisdictional access, and those of you in corrections probably have some corrections access. If you're interested in getting access to GED Manager, you should, if you're in Florida, reach out to the GED administrator, Mallory Martinez. She can help you with that. If you're in a different state, reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with the correct person. These are some of the things that you can do with GED Manager. You can see score reports, look at a student test activity report, passers report, and you can also see a list of those individuals who are interested in attending your prep center. And this is how you can use that. You can mark them as enrolled or contacted, dismissed or credentialed. I have a whole another slide deck about this, and I have a link to it in here for you if you're interested in the details for GED Manager. If you notice in Florida, we've got over 77,000 interested students who have not been marked as contacted or enrolled. So these students are out there. We need to reach out to them. We do offer GED Direct and GED Marketplace. GED Direct is part of GED Manager. So if you're ordering vouchers for tests or GED Readies, these are your two options. If you have any questions on either one of these options, I'm more than happy to work one-on-one with you. And I also included a link to the training video for GED Direct if you want to learn more about it. There's also many tools available on GED Manager, so make sure that you're using those helpful links and helpful documents if you have access already. I did include a link to a request form, so those of you who are out of state or even in Florida can use that request form to request a GED Manager account. And I did include some videos here so that you could learn more about the different roles. Let me check the questions. Here's my contact information. While I check the questions here, if you need to jot down my email, you can do that. Okay, I had a question from someone, can a candidate do GED testing online? Not in Florida. You would have to check your state to see who offers online testing, but Florida does not allow online proctored testing. Let's see if I see anything else here. I always find this hard to navigate, so bear with me. Does GED testing provide live instruction for students from the website with the live instructor? There are some things available. You would want to look at the prep offerings that are out there, and students are also presented with that. I really don't have time to go into that. So David, if you want to reach out to me directly, I can point you in the right direction. The PowerPoint will be shared on the website, the IPDAY website. Okay, I think if I missed your question, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer those. It's hard to look at all of these and get through all of my slides in addition to that. So if I missed your question, I'm sorry about that, but reach out to me directly and I'll be happy to answer those for you. I am going to go ahead and advance one more. Hopefully you got my email address if you need it. And we are asking that you give your feedback to this survey. IPDAY really appreciates it. I also appreciate hearing if you enjoyed the session or if you didn't, or what I should have covered. While you're filling this out, I want to remind you that next Tuesday, IPDAY, on January 20th at 1 p.m., IPDAY is presenting tech tools for tracking language and literacy. And if you want to sign up for that, you should go to the IPDAY website. So we hope that you will continue to get some professional development from IPDAY. And of course, feel free to reach out to me at any time. We really, really appreciate you attending today. And I look forward to hearing from some of you. So thank you very much.